Alright guys, Jack here, JBF Music and Guitar Lessons. What I've got for you today is analysis of Bandmate's new song, the instrumental From Now On. This is likely to be very guitar focused, so sorry if that's not your bag, but I think that's probably the way this one's going to pan out. Tons of requests to do this, and the main reason it got bumped up the list is because of the amazing Patreons. So on that note, a huge shout out to Rabbi Rabs, Matt Hortzman, Glenn Kelly, Stephen Williams and Rebecca Hay for their continued support on Patreon. If you yourself have got something you'd like me to check out or just want to support the channel, make sure to help patreon.com/JBF Music. And if you don't like the analysis sort of videos, I'll pop a link to just the straight reaction up there. Now, I'd said in the last video, which if everything has gone to plan should have just come out yesterday, I was going to try and do something a bit interesting here. So hopefully it'll pan out alright. So as well as being asked to look at the normal kind of video, I'd been given these live versions by Rabbi Rabs. Now conveniently it added up to 4 videos, and in my little head I thought, wow, if there's 4 videos and they're all kind of rectangular, can I maybe do something interesting with that? So let's find out. So what I've done to explain things about here is I've got the actual music video at the top left. The one in the bottom left is one that kind of focuses on Misa. The one at the bottom right is a kind of like a full band shot, as you can see, and you can kind of see where the kick drums coming, getting hit from the other side because you can see the skin move. And then the top right one mainly focuses on Konami, which is going to be the kind of main focus of this video. So there's a thing I didn't pick up in the live version, so you can hear more clearly in the studio one that this is kind of synth running over it. So we hop into this and I'll break down some of the riffs. So we've got this it's the basic idea running through, right? What I think is happening is she's still playing this riff, which is basically we're down in drop C sharp, so it'd be a C sharp. And I can't work out what this is off the top of my head. I'm just going to put my hands up and admit it, but we're up at the 7th fret and the 8th. So you have this. And if you listen to that and what you just heard, it sounds very different. But if I start to add in some of the other things, like you start to hear what's going on. So the main riff that Miku's playing through most of it is this kind of open power chord. Power chord built on the 5th fret on the A string. So you got 5, a 7 on the D, 7 on the G, back to the open. And then you've got a power chord built here. Because we're dropped down, we're just going to bar 7th fret on the 3 low strings, and then move that up a semitone to the 8th fret. So what I think is happening here is that Konami is using her Fami drop pedal to get these weird kind of high-pitched sounds while just playing the same notes. So that's why when you see her playing here, the note you hear is way up. The pitch is up there because what this pedal's doing is synthetically moving up the octave. This is a trick I've covered before, so if I can remember which videos I've done it in, I'll link to it with the eye up there. So I think she's just going, but on this chord using the pedal to push it up the octave, and for these ones as well. Second time I think is more or less the same. Then we have so I think she's using octaves combined with the pedal to move it up an octave. If your head's in a knot, this is just the beginning. So it's an octave built here. Well, that'd be 7 on the D, 10 on the B, and just moving that up a semitone. So this chord is the same as this one here, and the next chord is the same as that. We're just playing it in a kind of slightly different way. Can I get that one? That sort of thing. But using the pedal with this kind of riff breathes a new lease of life into it, and it also, like, you know, compared to what's kind of a fairly standard rock riff, and it allows it to be a kind of straightforward riff in the verses because she's doing all the kind of solo stuff over the top. So you can hear there when it's high, it sounds different from like if I'm just playing that. It's the same pitch, but there's a difference in timbre, and that timbre is coming from this pedal that's synthetically moving the guitar pitch an octave higher. And then we've got a kind of synchronized. What was it? Oh, let's work that one out. Dun dun dun. So I think that's just power chords again, built on the 6th fret into on the 5th. But because they're all doing it together, it just sounds cool, doesn't it? And then the pause, so you've got the dun 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 breath in before it kicks off again. What I think is really cool here that you can hear more prominently in the studio version is there's a synth doing do over the top. It could be a guitar with lots of delay, and again shifted up an octave, lots of delay and reverb, maybe on the neck pickup, trem picking it. But it sounds like it, it'd be easier to just get a keyboard and play the notes and then put all the effects on. It could be a guitar, overdubbed, so obviously it's not happening live. And then so here I suspect, I think she's using the open string. I will listen more closely and figure it out. It is difficult to tell in the big mix. So I can't figure this out totally. I don't know what's going on with my ears today, but the basic melody is something like... And the reason I thought there might be an open string in here is because I could hear it was on what's now a D flat or C sharp. And I know she uses open strings quite a lot, and this is the kind of riff where instead, like in between these notes, you could play the open string, so you'd have... So it would be... can I get it? Which is more like something she would tend to play rather than the... If I played the notes right, it would help. It also sounds like she does have... the guitar doubled up an octave, which again something I've kind of covered, so I'll link to a deeper explanation on the video on there. But that's helping add this kind of synthy quality to it as well, combined with the using the higher frets on the lower strings. You get a different tone than if we were, here. For reference, if I play the same notes across different strings, you can hear it gets a bit kind of fuller, a bit kind of woollier as we go into these notes. And you hear if I go between these strings and these, oh, play the right notes. These ones are a lot kind of more nasally, a lot thinner, a lot more hissy. These have this kind of fuller sound, a bit more akin to a synth. A synth essentially is just like a square wave. When you have a kind of more fuzzy overdrive compared to a more kind of metal one, it makes things sound a wee bit more synthy. And here you can hear the rhythm. Just that kind of standard thing, the kind of basic version of the fancy one Konami was doing, just holding the fort and allowing this kind of the lead stuff to go on. And then of course adding in kind of little chromatic fills and stuff like that to keep it exciting, because they can't just keep it simple. Okay, so here is a great example of the open string. I don't know if I've got enough frets for this. Yeah, I've had to use this guitar for incredibly boring reasons, which I will now go into, but you can skip past them if you want. There's a thing called a truss rod that runs up and down a guitar. That's a big metal pole. My other guitar that I've got kind of down-tuned most of the time, it's seized up. I'll need some WD-40 to fix it. I've got an industrial sized can of WD-40. I don't know where I've put it. I don't know how I've managed to lose it. And the reason the truss rod needs adjusting is because there's been it's in winter now and everything's colder, and because guitars are made largely out of wood, it'll kind of bend and move in the temperature. So most of my guitars are probably needing a setup, which is just one of these curses of being a guitarist. A couple of times a year you need to kind of set a day aside and take out your guitars and kind of tweak them and set them up for the season. That's why I'm on this guitar instead of the usual drop tuned one. This one's a fixed bridge, so it's easy enough to put down, but it does mean I don't have as many frets here. So although I don't have a fret here, I can hold the string down against the fretboard and get a close note. But if you look at what she's doing here, you can see the right hand's just kind of doing this, and that's because she's picking the open strings in between. Instead of just going, where would it be? Instead of just going down chromatically, he's adding in this kind of picking thing, which is why I thought she might have been doing it on the lower part, but my ears aren't playing ball on that today. And then the same kind of idea going between the open strings here as she finishes up that lick. Doodle 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 doo. Where are we in D? This is what I was talking in the, I think it was the reaction one, about the wide intervals. So it's basically like notes that are far apart. So these notes very close together. These notes quite far apart. So she's doing, I think that was it. No, not quite. Which what we're doing here is using pentatonics, so they are a really cool way to get a kind of more modern sound using this wide interval thing. I think someone had asked if Konami was using a trick I talked about, using a kind of synthwave lick as an example that uses the same sort of wide interval sound. So I've completely forgotten who asked that. If I remember to do it, I'll pop up the little comment here. And while it's not the same technique, I don't think she's hybrid picking or swibrid picking. Well, hang on, let's check if she is. Yeah, because it looks like she's picking the notes. It's the same concept, it's these wider intervals. So if you want that sound, if you take a pentatonic, so we've got the kind of standard box. I'm going to miss out the low string because it's dropped tune just now. If you think about the one up here, if I try and play it a bit cleaner, there we go. And if you move that to the next box, so the same scale but down here, you can use, say, one string like she's done here is a great example. Miss out the B string, hop over to the E, and we're sliding down. Same idea. So you could take it down the pentatonic further. Where would we be after that? That sort of thing. So if you like that sound, you can use pentatonics, skip over a string, kind of go up one and then down one. It's a great way into it. And this bit's really cool, so we've got a slight pause before things come back in that just accents what is probably the chorus. Where are we? So it's everyone cuts down, we've just got a little guitar lead in doody doody dee. So here again, if we look at where her fingers are, like the pitch here sounds like it was to me up there. It looks like she's bending, what would that be? Oh dear, not on it today, am I? So again, the whammy pedal might be at play here, moving this up an octave so it sounds like it's there. Yeah, you can hear it there, this kind of sparkly, kind of slightly harsh kind of brittleness to the sound. That's it being moved up synthetically by an octave. And then here, there's a little interesting chromatic diddle, so let's listen to that. Like, welcome to the jungle. Sort of idea. So you're just going down from that 5th fret, which would be your C sharp. I don't know if they go all the way down or if they just do 4. Let's one more lift. Yeah, so I think they've gone then just to that open C sharp, and I think we're about to come to the kind of triumphant part. So why this sounds triumphant, let me just check. I'm going to double check I've got the right idea of what's going on here. I think I do. So if you listen to this transition in particular, right after this chromatic bit we just looked at, and then there it feels kind of uplifting. This is a good example of transitioning from a minor, which is a bit more kind of dour, to a major, which is a bit more upbeat. So the minor being C sharp, and the notes right this time, hopefully, up to what used to be an F, but is now lower. So an E. I think it's gone from C sharp to an E, both in the same key. So there's not some massive modulation where there's a big, you know, like the boy band final chorus where they all get off their stools. It's because it's changed up by a tone usually. Modulation makes things feel a bit more triumphant. Here we're using the same notes but based around a different tonal center, and that's why it kind of feels kind of triumphant. And the lead line, what was it? Is very much kind of leaning into this E major sound, I should say, using the major 7 for this kind of 80s thing, and also that move that she likes to do in solos. It's a great motif, and here it's kind of being done the other way around. And then here, I would guess that's going to go, where are we? Back to, yeah, so, what would be a chord tone? Yeah. So it's gone back to the C sharp minor. Imagine to do these on the fly, I'll probably mess up at some point. I'm bending the 5th up to that flat 6 for edge, which makes it sound minor, but resolving back to that 5th, so it's still, and the chord makes it sound consonant, but it makes that uplifting minor section all the more triumphant. Another good example, Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer, verse minor, chorus major. So the verse is a bit more downtrodden and it's got that triumphant chorus. Again, same key. They're using what's called the relative major and minor. It's the same set of notes, but just starting on a different one, and that kind of lets you have a different feel without getting into the weeds of the music theory. And just a big kind of run. So I'll slow that down a bit more and then break down what's happening. I think we've got... So what makes this a bit tricky is it's not a kind of standard pattern, and I suspect this might have come because she doesn't want to play this kind of stretch here and has opted to position shift. And this is often where like your own idiosyncrasies can make things more interesting. Instead of doing like a kind of which is quite difficult to pick, you'll probably find some workarounds and you're like, oh, this looks a bit better. So it's a good reason to like lean into your weaknesses type thing. So we're coming in 15 on the B, 12, 13 on the E up to 15. So those are kind of like, those 3 notes are leading in. This note here is the start of the bar, and this is where we kind of got groups of 4 originally. So we're coming in 15, 13, 12, 15 on the B, and 13 on the E, 12, down to the B again, where we got 15 to 13. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where it gets a bit more weird. So we're going to position shift, so move down to here, so your middle finger on the 11th fret on the B, 11, 10, 12 on the G, back up to those notes, so 10, 11, 10, back to 12 on the G, 10, 9, and I think we're going 12 on the D, and back up the way we came, 9 on the G, 10, 12, and then it sounds like one guitar ends going 10 on the B, bending up to a semitone, the 11th fret, try and get in pitch. And it sounds like there's another overdubbed guitar kind of moving the song on here. It sounds like there's a fair bit of legato there as well, so if you did something like picking those notes, basically picking on this string once, so what would it be? Pick those, pick this once, pick that, because you have to on the B string, pick this once on the E string, pull off, pick this once, and you can probably, yeah, just pick that once, pull off, maybe even slide down there. What was it? Probably a position shift there like I said before. So here, then you're position shifting, pull off, then I'd pull off here, slide down, probably hit that one, slide back up, hammer on, then so you'd have something like, what would it be? Pick, pull off, pull off, pull off, position shift, pull off, back up, hammer on, pull off, slide down, slide up, hammer on, and that bend. It's just a rough idea, but it sounds like there's legato going on. It makes it much more easy than having to pick every single note. Cool, and here we've got that line that I think I heard at the start that I thought might be in a synth, so it probably was just the guitar overdubbed on top. And we're going back to that main riff. So to explain the main riff, it is actually just... Because the chord that's getting played here is just this chord up an octave, but it helps give it a bit more movement, a bit more direction. Instead of just being... But a cool thing you can do with stuff like that, which I'm not too sure if they're doing here and I'll need to listen more closely, is the bass could just play that. The guitar can do the octave thing, and the bass staying down on that kind of low C sharp will give it a bit more kind of girth and a bit more weight. Then a huge fill, little chug, and we're back into that. That kind of synthy sounding riff from the lead line, I suppose, from the first verse. Yeah, and like before, we're going to come out of it with some chromatics here. So again, adding a bit more tension to it. And here there's a different feel because the drums are going double time. So to explain double time, it's the same tempo, but things are happening twice as much. So say it was normally kick, snare, dunk, dunk. In the same space of time, we have dunk, 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 dunk. So it's still the same tempo. Tempo is BPM, which is beats per minute. So you could put on, I'm not too sure what speed this is, but you could put on a metronome and it wouldn't change at this bit. But how often the kind of snare is being played is, and that's why it gives it that feeling that it's going faster without actually going faster. Like here, quite frantic and a bit circus groundy because there's more going on with the drums, and we've got the kind of chromatic trem picking going on in the lead again. Just loads of crunch there with the dissonance. Back into more of these kind of wide interval things. And if memory serves correctly, the bass solo might be coming in. But the reason I think of that is because I can hear the high notes here. I could be totally wrong. This is a nice kind of dee-doo-doo, is it? Dee-doo-doo. So if you heard that bit and you thought what I was babbling on before about wide intervals and pentatonics and you thought it sounds a bit similar, you're bang on the money. It's a very similar idea. I think the way she's picking it is going up, up, down. The way I would tend to do it would be either all ups or do a little bit Swibert picking, so I'd pick this with my finger and then go up, up. That's probably what I'd do for consistency. If I've got cards left, I'll link to a breakdown of Swibert picking with the eye up there. But basically what we've got here is like an inverted power chord. So we're up at the 17th fret on the E, 15 on the B, and then the 14 on the G. And that's basically the pattern you're going to use. You're going to go through the strings like that. And then we're going to go down to here. So we've got 13, 13 on the next, and then 12. Play a bit cleaner. Then we're down to here. And you're just playing all the tens. So if you think about the pentatonic box shape here, you're using these ones and these ones. So again, using wide intervals from the pentatonic, then it goes up to here. So it would be 15, 13, 12, and then I think there's a slide from the 13 to the 15 to get back into position to repeat it. And again, with these higher ones, if you think about this pentatonic shape, you can see that's in it, that inverted power chord. And again here, that's in it as well. And then what she goes to from the last time round, something to that effect. It's a sound you might recognise from Bandmate songs, and a sound you might recognise from these videos when I talk about a sus4. So this note is making it feel a bit tense, a bit 80s. It's the fourth that resolves into the third, so you get that tension, release. Right, let's listen to that again. So you can hear that kind of wide intervals alternate between the sus4 and the card. Or it's a bit of a tap fest. What's going on? And then some sweep arpeggios. So where we're in D minor, so it's maybe a D. Let's have a closer look. Check it out. So there's those sweeps, then some sort of chromatic descent. I'll go over the sweeps. If you want more Konami sweeps, I will link to Lessons with the Eye up there. Probably run out of cards, so they'll be down in the pinned comment and probably the video description as well. Got what used to be a C major sweep, maybe now a flat. I'm gonna just ignore trying to work out what the cards are with everything being tuned down. We got 15 to 12 on the E. Gonna go 13 on the B, 12 on the G, and back up the way you came. You want to pick that, pull off, up, possibly up here, then rotate your plectrum so you can switch back through. The other way you could do it would be to sweep up through these and then go down, down, down. So you could go pull off with an upstroke, upstroke again, down, down. Whichever works better for you. And then here, the same picking mechanic, but slightly different notes. So we got 17, 13, so you hit that pull off, and you got 15 on the B, 14 on the G, back the way we came. Groups of 6, so we're playing in triplets here. The chromatic run, I think, was something like starting here, and just going down groups of 4. Which we've heard in another song before, but I forget which song it is because they throw so many techniques at you in one solo. Put that back up to normal speed. And then we had a kind of more modern melody there, almost like something Polyphia might do. Trem picking up here. Big kind of legato run up. Double stops. So it's basically these notes. A note here, you're basically going a string down and 3 frets up, bending that note up, a tone. There we go. It adds that kind of dirty raunch instead of it just being, you know, a nice polite. Then it bends to kind of resolve it and dip down dynamically for the bass solo. So I was mistaken before. Hamiso was just doing some higher fills a wee while back. I think I've got a cold coming on. I think that's why I can't hear things, because I keep needing to pop my ears. So that's what I'm I'm blaming the sloppiness of this video on. And just nice fills here, very kind of pentatonic based. She might be using the D string here, or what used to be the D string, the C sharp string. She? Yeah, so that boom boom. I was kind of using this string here, just to kind of reference the home tonal center that we're in. It's battered my microphone there. Oh, nice. There's still stuff going on. I don't know if it's synth. So it could be a guitar with delay. And you can hear this great synth over the top. Sounds like a kind of Pokemon, you know, what do you call it? Like video game music, kind of like a battle beginning. Trem picking and a big kind of thing on the toms to build up tension here, very effective. I'm just kind of chugging chords in the background, filling it out. Again, you can hear that octave effect on the guitar to make it more synth-like, make it stick out loads in the mix. And do-do-do-do-do-do is that the same? That great move. We kind of touched on before. back to this kind of triumphant major. Is that right? I might have hit an open string there by mistake. I'll find it when I'm editing this. It sounds like there's a kind of piano being snuck in the mix here as well. And this really nice vocal melody. Do, 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 yeah. Optimistic, but also like a little bit melancholic as well. It's a word I always mess up when I say it. I never realise when I'm saying it. Then when I'm editing back, I'm like, oh, melancholic. And these nice bends to add a kind of soulful singing vocal quality. And that same run from before, so it's like a worked out repeating run, it's not an improvised one, it's coming back the same as it was. Doodle-dee, doodle-dee. So using the pentatonic. Double check that, I'm not playing that quite right, am I? Okay, that's why, so I might have edited that out because it'd be very boring for you to watch. So again, this kind of pentatonic thing with wider intervals seems to be the kind of theme here. So we've got 12 into 10 on what used to be the D string, that'll be the 4th string, back to 12. So you're doing hit ones, pull off, hammer on, up over to the 10 on the B, and then same idea, but going to the 12 on the G. Again, this is sort of like I would hybrid pick. It just makes life a wee bit easier, but she tends to like to pick things rather than hybrid. And you can hear that chromatic dun, 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 thing coming in underneath it. I'll pop it back a wee second there. Right. Again, that shift to the major, the trem picking. Big fills on the drums, so it's really building to a climax here. Back to these sweet picking arpeggios, back to the triplets, so 6 notes, deedly doodly deedly doodly. And again, because you're playing these fast and you got the guitar doubled up the octave, it almost sounds like a kind of sequencer from the 80s. Big bend to end up. What are we on? Right. Yeah, I've run out of frets again. But I can bend it, that's the important thing. So here, I thought this would be interesting to see how much free rein they gave themselves with the burnout. And it's quite a lot, it turns out. So I think what I did was I faded in the volume of the one that goes on for the longest, because obviously the music video's ended. So what's interesting is that stab, I'll pop it back, you can see in all 3 videos it happens at the same time, so the click must still be on here. Right? And then here, I think the click track's off, so this may be a closing song in the set. I'm just spitballing here, let me know. The big burnout they're doing anyway. Clearly not a closing song in the bottom right one, because sorry, I can come back on. That jump always kind of sells the burnout as well for that final hit. So there's a ton of stuff going on there, and I did focus quite heavily on the guitar, and even doing that, there's loads of licks and tricks and stuff I know that I've missed out on. So because there's some I know, there's probably even more that I haven't picked up on. So this is one I might revisit. If you'd like that, then do let me know. Or if there's specific licks or kind of things in there I didn't quite cover. If you want to allow me to keep doing these or support the channel, hit up Patreon, click subscribe to make sure you never miss out on new content. There's videos here you might be interested in. If you don't want to do any of that, a like and a comment goes a really long way. But cheers guys, hope you're having a great one.